The shopping season kicked into high gear today, but while crowds seem a bit thinner than in previous years, experts say shoppers are expected to open their wallets wide this holiday season.
It was really special. I mean, it really became kind of a hallmark event here around Thanksgiving time. It was always a Tuesday of Thanksgiving week.
The need for blood donations is still strong, but San Diego's annual Chargers blood drive is no more. How the blood bank is getting by after ending a nearly 40-year tradition. And looking for fun stuff to do this weekend? We have your arts calendar preview coming up. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma, filling in for Ebony Monet. Black Friday is in full swing across San Diego, marking the start to the holiday shopping season. Retail sales are expected to increase almost 4% from last year. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has more from Fashion Valley Mall.
Shoppers this holiday season are expected to spend more than they have in years. The economy is good, the unemployment rate in San Diego has dipped below 4%, and consumer prices are reasonable. The question is, will people hit the mall or will they shop online? Fashion Valley was bustling by mid-morning as a frenzy of shoppers were on the hunt for big bargains.
I got 2 pairs of jeans, I got shoes,
perfumes, some cosmetics, and that's what I was aiming for.
We got a really cool shirt for my son here, this whole Santa shirt. It's pretty neat.
But some shoppers noticed smaller crowds compared to years past, including 11-year-old Nicole Guevara, who was up shopping with her mom before sunrise.
Usually you're bumping into people, but today it's like more calm. You could sort of run around.
And Stephanie Gutierrez. She crossed the Mexico border early this morning with friends and family to beat the crowds.
We didn't think it was going to be this empty.
That's likely because record numbers of people are turning to the internet to snag their discounts. Miro Kopik is professor of marketing at San Diego State University.
When all is said and done, the expectation is about 18% of people will buy their holiday items online specifically. And so that's better than last year, and that's a bigger growth.
It's about 10% higher than last year. Still, Kopik says 80% of gifts will be purchased in stores.
Most people, when they buy online, they're going to buy one thing, and then they're done. Why stores love you to come into the store is that when the economy is good, like it is this year, people buy for themselves.
The average American is expected to spend approximately $960 on gifts and decorations this year, and about 30% of shoppers are expected to spend more this holiday season than last. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
The Navy has called off its search for 3 U.S. sailors missing after a plane crash in the Philippine Sea. The crash happened on Wednesday, and 8 people were rescued quickly. The Navy has not yet identified the 3 who are still missing. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Sailors from San Diego have joined the search for a missing Argentine submarine. The sub has been missing in the South Atlantic for 9 days, with 44 crew members on board. Members of the San Diego-based Undersea Rescue Command are now part of an international search effort to find the sub. For a second weekend, groups who feed the homeless are expected to defy the city of El Cajon's ban on feeding homeless people at Wells Park. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh has the story.
El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells says no one was arrested last weekend when groups defied the ban by offering meals to the homeless at Wells Park. Another round of protests is expected tomorrow.
We're not looking to arrest anybody. We're not looking to make a big deal of this. We really think this is a very small situation. And if people want to escalate it and make it a big deal, I guess we're going to have to respond in kind.
Wells says the ban is designed to protect public health during an outbreak of hepatitis A. The city's position is churches and pantries can still offer meals to the homeless. Activist Charles Leichel with Food Not Bomb says the city is targeting the victims. There is no evidence connecting serving meals at Wells Park to the outbreak.
We feel that this ban is a violation of basic human rights. We believe that people have a right to eat, to exist in their community without reprisal from the state, and that A feeding ban specifically is a pretty inhumane response to a public health crisis.
Jessica Carpenter has been homeless for 5 years. She says people count on those meals.
There's a lot of people that come to this park knowing that there's the foods here, knowing that they're going to feed us, knowing that we have a meal coming at least. Because some of us wake up and don't know when we're going to have a meal coming or when our next meal is going to be.
Food Not Bombs is advertising it will be at Wells Park at 3 p.m. Saturday. Mayor Wells says the ban is temporary, but will last until whenever public health officials say the hepatitis A outbreak is over in San Diego County. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
27 people were arrested for drunk driving the first 2 nights of the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. This is the beginning of the California Highway Patrol's annual maximum enforcement period that continues through Sunday. It's when all available CHP officers are on duty and looking to catch impaired drivers. Last year's enforcement event netted more than 900 arrests of people suspected of driving under the influence. For the first time in 38 years, there will be no Chargers blood drive in Mission Valley this week. The annual event was the San Diego Blood Bank's largest one-day collection. It took place during a critical holiday season when blood donations are typically down. But just because the NFL team has left, it doesn't mean the need for blood is gone. KPBS's Matt Hoffman explains.
We've collected 77,000 pints of blood over that 38 years. And if you know that 1 pint of blood can save 3 lives, we've saved over 220,000 lives.
David Wellis has been CEO of the San Diego Blood Bank for the last 4 years.
I guess it was, 35, 36, 37, and 38th annual Chargers Drive.
He says the team-sponsored drives became a staple in the community.
It was really special. I mean, it really became kind of a hallmark event here around Thanksgiving time. It was always Tuesday of Thanksgiving week.
For nearly 40 years, the blood bank relied on the donations to get through the holiday season.
The holidays are a critical time of the year because blood donation goes down. It goes down for a couple reasons. One is our high schools and colleges are closed. People go on vacation, people get busy, blood donation kind of falls off.
So in January of 2017, when the Chargers announced they were leaving San Diego, the blood bank needed to act fast.
When the community found out is when we found out. But we had internal discussions too all along the way, what if? And if something like that happened, we would have to continue.
This, unfortunately, is one of the fallouts of their decision to leave.
Ralph Benershka joined the Chargers in 1997 as the team's kicker.
So I had some success my first year, and as we started the second season with great enthusiasm, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and began to deal with an illness that was very difficult.
Benershka played through what he says was excruciating pain, getting sicker as time went on. His illness reached a tipping point in 1979.
And I remember sitting in front of my locker crying because I know there's no way I'm going to be able to survive 15 more games. And the truth was I didn't. 3 games later, we were flying home from a game against New England, and I collapsed on the plane.
Benershka went through multiple surgeries over the next 7 weeks, ultimately needing nearly 80 pints of blood. That's when the Chargers blood drive was born.
I remember watching the news one night, and there was this informal blood drive quickly put together to replace the blood that I had used.
After that first year in 1979, every following Chargers blood drive was held at the Town and Country Hotel in Mission Valley. It was a place where people could help save lives and meet their sports heroes.
I think the most special part of it is when the players would actually walk amongst the donors as they were donating blood. And so we really used it as an opportunity to show how the team cared about our community.
The last couple years was also a time of uncertainty, though, as the Chargers mulled moving the team to Los Angeles.
There's no doubt that the last couple of years of the blood drive were a little bit awkward. There was some tension. The team was uncertain about where it was going to be. The fans, loved the team and loved the players and felt like they weren't really part of the decision.
I was a Chargers fan, and when I first got here, you had the Chargers, you had Dan Fouts, a fearsome foursome.
That's Jane Hyman, the San Diego Blood Bank's top female donor. She's working on 104 gallons.
And I always used to joke, it takes longer to fill out the paperwork than it does to do the donation.
Hyman has been donating blood here since 1977, 2 years before the first Chargers blood drive.
So whether you have a drive or you don't have a drive, to me it's no difference. I'm doing this to benefit other people. I get a benefit myself to make sure I'm still good and healthy. But you know, it's not about me, it's not about the drive. It's about helping others.
The blood bank announced a replacement for the Chargers drive over the summer, one that does not include an NFL team.
The winter blood drive is now called San Diego Cares. It's in our blood. December 16th, same location, Town and Country. We'll have entertainment as we had before. We're giving away a car as we have before. But what's different this year is that we're being much more inclusive in the sports teams that'll be represented. And so everyone's coming. So we've got the Padres and the Gulls and the Sockers and the Cholos, and we've got the Toreros, and we've got everyone coming together to, again, fill this vital need.
So even though a new blood drive kicks off next month, it's still technically the 39th consecutive year, right?
It's an interesting question. Is this the 39th year of the drive or the first? I'm not sure I can answer that question. We'll learn when we're there.
But Wellis did.
This is completely being rebranded. There's a little motivation, too, from the community of, let's make this bigger and better than it was before.
A spokeswoman from the Los Angeles Chargers confirmed they are not holding a team-sponsored blood drive this season, but plan to continue supporting the San Diego Blood Bank. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The deaths of 22 people killed in San Diego custody will not be investigated. Where's the oversight? Retreat becomes a dirty word as beach communities plan for inevitable sea level rise. And change could be ahead as City Heights becomes one of the hottest real estate markets in the county. Join us for the roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Not everyone was at the malls today for the Black Friday sales. Some people were spending part of their long weekend at the beach, enjoying San Diego's late November heat wave. This is Mission Beach, where temperatures got up into the mid-70s. Will it last through the weekend? Regina Miller has tonight's forecast.
As we take a look at the satellite and radar here across the southwest here, not anything going on. Things are pretty quiet. And as we widen the view out, you have to go up into central and northern California, where we see some of the clouds starting to stream, a little bit of moisture there. But for tonight, metro areas, 59 degrees, a mainly clear sky. And into Borrego Springs, we're at 55 degrees overnight. Oceanside, 49. In Chula Vista, 56 degrees, 53 in Alpine. As we go through your Saturday and Sunday, we have an area of high pressure continuing to be in place. It is going to continue to be warm across the southwest as well. In San Diego County, 88 degrees for your daytime high tomorrow in Borrego Springs, 86 in Ramona. In San Diego, we're at 75. Chula Vista also at 75 degrees. And so the coastal locations, it's going to be sunny and pleasant on Sunday at 74. But then Monday, we're going to see some moisture come in, a little bit of morning rain. Also, temperatures falling back into the upper 60s. We'll be in the low 70s and partly sunny skies on Tuesday. Inland areas, 84 degrees, mostly sunny and warm on Saturday, 82 on Sunday. We're going to cool it down to 68 with a little bit of rain around on Monday. Windy and warmer then, and we go back up into the upper 70s for Tuesday with clouds and sun. Saturday, we have mostly sunny skies in the mountain areas, mostly sunny on Sunday as well with temperatures in the 70s, but we'll fall back into the 50s on Monday with clouds and a little bit of rain. We'll stay in the 50s and it'll be windy on Tuesday. And in the desert areas on Saturday, 88 degrees, mostly sunny, really warm here. And on Sunday, we're at 87 degrees, mostly sunny. Monday, it's going to be cooler with clouds and sunshine, a temperature of 72. Partly sunny on Tuesday at 74, and still some sunshine on Wednesday in Pleasant with a temperature of 74 degrees. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
A generation of kids fell in love with science in the 90s thanks to Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Now, the former PBS host has a new role, taking on what he calls the anti-science movement. A new documentary, Bill Nye, Science Guy, reveals the man behind the bow tie and what drives him to defend science and the planet from the threat of climate change. KQED producer Shiraz Sadiq caught up with Bill Nye and filmmaker Jason Sussberg, who co-directed the film.
Bill Nye and Jason Sussberg, thank you so much for being here today. Bill Nye, you've gone from being the award-winning host of a popular TV kids show to now debating creationists and climate change deniers. Why are you so passionate about defending science?
Well, it's not just defending science, it's having enough scientists and engineers to solve problems in the near future. And this is why I'm so concerned about climate change, is that's going to be the biggest problem everybody's going to face in the next few decades. But then with regard to the creationists,
Charles Darwin never thought of evolution as anything other than a theory. He hoped
we need people to be able to think critically and to evaluate evidence and to decide if something is reasonable or not.
Do you think that today science is under attack, and if so, what's fueling it?
Well, the fossil fuel industry has been successful in introducing the idea that scientific uncertainty, plus or minus 2%, whatever, about this phenomenon and this temperature that day, whatever, is the same as plus or minus 100%. There's doubt about the whole thing.
The United States will withdraw.
What do you think of President Donald Trump and his environmental policies and actions, such as deciding to pull the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement?
Pulling out of the climate agreement is absolutely the wrong move, and I don't think it will last. That is to say, the people in this example of the Environmental Protection Agency, they're career bureaucrats. They're going to be there after he's gone. And I think very quickly everything will flip back.
So, Jason, why did you make this documentary?
At the time, it was 2014. Bill had just debated Ken Ham in February of 2014.
Mr. Bill Nye and Mr. Ken Ham.
Ken Ham is the lead pastor of this organization called Answers in Genesis. He's probably America's most successful, well-known Christian fundamentalist creationist.
You can't prove the age of the Earth, so you can never prove it's old.
And David and I, the other director, were debating it amongst ourselves. Was it smart for Bill to do this? Was this a good idea?
Radiometric dating does exist. The universe is accelerating. These are all provable facts.
And then ultimately we were wondering, hey, who is Bill Nye? Where is he now? And what has he been up to since the show? And we ended up getting in a room with Bill here in San Francisco, and we pitched him on our idea for the documentary. But it was born out of sort of Bill's public reemergence in 2014 after the debate.
Do you run the risk of giving people like Ken Ham, people with anti-science views, if you will, a platform to further promote their views and make them appear more mainstream than they actually are?
Well, the answer is yes, I guess. In the short term, I definitely empowered him, but we'll see about the medium term and the long term. The debate has had almost 6.5 million views. And as I tell everybody, my audience was not there in the room, and it was online. And I'm very skeptical that 6.5 million people are watching that because they're hoping to get reinforced with creationist views. I think they're realizing how serious the problem is. That by the problem, I mean raising generations of kids who won't be able to think for themselves.
Jason, what do you think is the role of filmmakers, artists, and other non-scientists in speaking out about the value of science in society?
I mean, it's incredibly important. As a storyteller, as a filmmaker, I don't have a background in science, neither does the other director. We are not engineers, but we appreciate the scientific method. And that's how we know what we know. And we can make better decisions with more data and more evidence. And so my job as a storyteller is to provide emotional stories that convey the scientific worldview. And there's no better person to actually follow than popular science communicators like Bill.
Bill, the film shows the uneasy relationship you have with celebrity. On the one hand, both craving it, and also on the other hand...
So I appreciate craving. What I wanted everybody was to be influential. But part of it is I didn't see it coming. And the other thing is it's a kid show host. People think they know you really well. It's sort of what you see is what you get. I mean, I am the guy on television. I am that same. Is that a true fact or a false fact?
Yeah. There's very little difference between the TV personality and the real human being. Bill's excited about science. He's great at explaining it. And what you see is what you get.
To that end, this whole thing, everybody, I love you all. Fans are your bread and butter. But the selfie thing is hard.
3, 2.
You got it, yeah. You don't need a countdown, just go for it. People don't want to talk to me. They want a selfie to send to their friends or something. And it's hard for me.
Do you think this selfication, if you will, of society, which didn't exist when you were doing your show on PBS in the 90s, do you think that makes it in some respects harder to reach kids through science, perhaps because their attention span has gotten shorter?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Well, I'm just curious.
I'm kidding, that's a joke. Actually, here's what I tell everybody. Before the electric internet and mobile phones and all that, you would go to the doctor's office or the dentist's office and just watch yourself when you pick up a magazine. Just watch how fast you flip pages. People are the same. My claim is people are the same. What's different is how fast people are able to transmit to each other. That is a huge difference.
What surprised you the most about Bill Nye in the course of spending so many months working with him on this film?
I guess what was surprising was just how passionate he was about explaining the fundamentals of science every day. So everything turned into an info shop on how things work and the way they work. The flicker of a flame at dinner got explained in detail, so that was fun.
Bill, one of your mentors was Carl Sagan, the legendary astronomer whom you first met as a student at Cornell University. What influence did he have on you?
Carl Sagan changed my life. I don't think he meant to. Hey, there's a good example. I'm not sure Carl Sagan wanted to be famous, but like any professor, any teacher, he wanted to be influential. And he said, kids resonate to pure science. And that was just fantastic advice. And resonate was the verb that I remember so well. Don't just be a string of cool science tricks or magic tricks that rely on science. Focus on pure science, the big idea.
Bill Nye and Jason Sussberg, thank you so much both for being here today.
Thank you, Shiraz. This is very cool.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, militants kill hundreds in a deadly attack on a mosque in Egypt. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
It's a holiday weekend, and KPBS Arts Calendar editor Nina Guerin has some recommendations that include a tribute to the Queen of Disco and a swing dance party.
I hope you're in a disco mood this weekend because La Jolla Playhouse celebrates the Queen of Disco with its world premiere show, Summer, the Donna Summer musical. Donna Summer is portrayed by 3 actresses representing different parts of her life. Tony-winning Broadway actress LaChanze is Diva Donna. Ariana DeBose, an original ensemble member from Hamilton, is Disco Donna. And Storm Lever is Duckling Donna. Even though it's about the disco era, you won't see any bell-bottoms or polyester here. Expect a more glamorous, minimalist set, leaving the 3 heavyweight singers to provide all the flair. Next, we have the San Diego Jazz Fest, an event that's been around almost as long as the disco era.
A heart that's full of like a landfill.
Now in its 38th year, this festival always happens over Thanksgiving weekend and celebrates a variety of jazz styles. A festival favorite is the Swing Dance Extravaganza, a night of non-stop music and dancing. Don't worry, there will be demonstrations if you've forgotten how to jitterbug. But if you're in the mood for something a little more mellow, I recommend the indie pop band Tennis.
I can be true to you even when losing.
This is a husband and wife band that formed after the couple returned from an 8-month sailing trip. There's an easiness to this music, but not in that cheesy yacht rock kind of way. Expect music that's more atmospheric and melancholy, with singing that has its heart in 1950s pop. For KPBS Arts, I'm Nina Guerin.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Tonight, we will leave you with the music of Right or Die, performing at Knockdown Studios for Capital Public Radio in Sacramento. Thank you for joining us, and have a great weekend.